Hello there and welcome to today's video. Today we're going to be looking at these rather nice new wheels that I purchased around 3.5 years ago to fit to the XJ40. They are a set of 16-inch Borbet Design A alloys, dating from around I think 1990s. They were originally fitted to, as an aftermarket item, originally fitted to a 1990 Aston Martin Virage, which coincidentally shares the same PCD as the XJ40, and also, interestingly, the same centre bore size, which would make sense, seeing as that particular car uses quite a few Jag bits. Big thanks to G&H Tyres of Burnham-On-Sea for getting the tyres installed. I went for a set of Nexans, which are a good sort of middle-of-the-road brand, and got a very competitive price from the aforementioned tyre retailer. I will put their contact details into the description, but if you are in the Burnham-On-Sea High Bridge area, I can highly recommend them. They deal with a lot of classic vehicles, and very knowledgeable bunch of people, very nice bunch of people as well. Now what I'm actually doing here is, whilst these wheels are off the car, I'm actually taking advantage of this and giving the alloys a good clean, both on the back area that you can't see and also on the front, and using a combination of some detail spray, baby wipes, which actually sort of seem to get rid of a lot, and for more sort of stuck on ground in brake dust you can use a bit of brake cleaner. What I would also recommend is, once you've given them a good old clean up like this, apply some of your sort of standard bodywork polish, just to sort of protect the surface of the alloy a little bit more. Given that these are actually originally a very high quality wheel, there isn't actually much that I need to do to get rid of this ground in brake grime. All I had to do is spray on a bit of contact cleaner? What am I using contact cleaner here for? I'm not using contact cleaner. A bit of detailing spray, and was actually able to get rid of the majority of muck that was actually on there just using the rag, as you sort of see here. It is best to sort of start off, say, using a rag that you're not going to be missing that much if it gets destroyed, and then you just use a nicer cloth to apply the polish and get everything sorted out afterwards. The next phase was to get the vehicle jacked up. Being the XJ40, you got the 4 jacking points on each corner of the vehicle on the sills, and once the vehicle was jacked up and supported correctly with an axle stand, which I'll be honest, I didn't do here, which was a very bad thing of me to do, but there you go. You can give the area a bit of an inspection once you've got your wheel off. You can see that this inner arch area is not in horrendous condition. I have seen some XJ40s that literally are hanging together. A lot of dust, a lot of sort of previous road dirt that I tend to sort of just brush away these days. I don't tend to apply water to the car at all. And just bits of surface rust here and there. So what I'm actually doing is using Corust and just preparing these areas with the Corust for a bit of painting over. The painting that I'm actually doing with just some satin black paint is temporary, and I'll be doing a more permanent job later in the summer using some dinitrile or a similar high-end rust-proof additive. On the passenger side, I actually used dinitrile last year after doing a similar job with some Corust and getting rid of a lot of rust on those seams that you see. And it's held up really well. There is actually no rust coming through, and the dinitrile has done a really good job of keeping that at bay. So I want to do a similar job on this side, but I just wanted to just make it look presentable for the MOT. Arguably, you don't need to really do this for an MOT, but you know, as a 30-year-old car, I'm very much a fanatic with this car. Very sort of anal with it, I suppose you could say. So, you know, it's nice just to make sure it's in good order. What you saw me do there was just basically bashing around that seatbelt mounting point, just to make sure that there were no holes or anything, no sort of flaky metal at all. Does all appear to be okay, thankfully, which is good. You can also see that I've got new rear shocks on there, and also on the A-frame new bushes as well, and also new springs, which I had done last year. Quite an expensive job, but it has transformed the way that the entire car drives. I mean, it's something that was well worth doing, and hopefully I won't need to do it again for a while. Now I got these nuts here to go with the alloy wheels, and those came from Demon Tweaks. Very, very good actually. They just basically told them what type of wheels I had, the type of car that I had, and they were able to match up the thread size, and I believe it's the cup size that goes onto the wheels themselves. Now, what I tend to do when applying these sort of wheel nuts is I start, as you can see there in the bottom left-hand corner, I then go up to the top nut on a 5-stud car this is, so you can see there I fit the nut to the top, and then I go to the bottom right corner, so I start off in a triangular form. So that effectively you are getting, in that way you are getting the wheel held in at all points, so you are sort of keeping it central. Obviously make sure that it is sort of fully pushed in onto the centre bore, centre hub itself, and once you've actually got those in position, you can just hand tighten them with the ratchet, just to make sure that they're held in place. And I do that in a triangular form first off, just to make sure, as you can see that I'm doing here. So get those hand tight. 1, 2, hand tight there, and 3 down the bottom. There we go. Then what I do is I go diagonally to the left hand side, so I go diagonally from that bottom one to the left hand side, as you can see that I'm doing there. Get that one tightened up, and then go straight across to the right hand side. So you're almost, when you're tightening, you're sort of almost drawing a star, but not a full star, if that makes sense. But this way you actually sort of make sure that you're applying equal force to each point of the rim, so that you're not sort of getting the wheel put on and getting it sort of, you know, put on and not on fully in one sort of corner. So make sure that those are hand tight, and once the vehicle is off the jack, I tend to then just sort of go around with a torque wrench and get those torqued up to the factory torque figure for alloy wheels on an XJ40. So making sure that those are all on there. And we'll be moving on to the next stage. So you can actually see there, just to step back from the car, just to actually have a look at what it looked like. It's a very geometric design, very of its time, and it does, in my view, seem to suit the car well. I've stuck with 16-inch rims, because if you go above, you do actually sort of cause problems with the wheel bearings on these cars. Now, before I actually started the video recording, I actually did a walk around of the car. And for the MOT, basically I checked that all of the lights worked. Side lights should illuminate both those little bottom marker lights and also the main sealed beam as well. And for performing the brake light test, I take a jack-in bar and I wedge it between the brake pedal, which is there, and the seat around this sort of area that I'm touching there. And that actually is enough to push the brake pedal down and allow you to note that the brake light is working, or the brake lights rather. Also, obviously make sure the horn works by just sounding the horn. Make sure that your washers and windscreen wipers are working as well. And that's it for today. I'd like to thank you all very much for watching. If you found this interesting, don't forget to hit that like button, and also consider subscribing for more upcoming fascinating hobbies.